Prayers won't save you in the silent part of this night. This is your festive look at the NECA Toys Silent Night Deadly Night Part 2 Retro Cloth Ricky Caldwell. Ricky is all grown up and ready to follow in the footsteps of his older brother, serial killer Billy Chapman. All he needs are a knife, a gun, some jumper cables, a car antenna, and a Santa suit, of course. Is it garbage day already? I thought that was next Tuesday. Before we get a closer look at Ricky Caldwell, the first thing we're going to want to do is figure out how tall the figure actually stands, like we've done with his older brother Billy. Stopping the very tape measure at the top of his head, which is roughly about, give or take about there. That seems like a good place as any. Stopping right there. There we go. According to my trusty tape measure, you're looking at Ricky Caldwell standing 8.1 inches in height. And switching that to centimeters, then you're looking at the figure standing 20.5 or 20.5 centimeters in height. Now, Ricky Caldwell initially was a Scream Factory exclusive. As far as I know, it has remained still an exclusive. He's yet to get a re-release. Unlike, let's just move him over here for a second, unlike his older brother, Billy Chapman, who has gotten a retail re-release in a clamshell casing. I wonder if the same thing will be happening for his younger brother, Ricky, because like I said, I would love to see if they can re-release this guy. He really rightfully deserves a re-release. I mean, in actual fact, both figures rightfully deserve a re-release, and maybe an opportunity, I feel, to improve the paint job. Not so much on Ricky. Ricky's isn't that bad, but I think Billy Chapman rightfully deserves a re-release with a slightly cleaner paint job done to his face. Very much like the way Silent Night Deadly Night ups the gory carnage for its sequel, NECA Toys for its follow-up sequel, Ricky Caldwell, gives him double the amount of accessories that his older brother Billy Chapman came included with. You'll remember that Billy came included with just the axe and just the hat. Now, Ricky comes with the very same things, the axe and the hat, but he also comes with some other things as well. But seeing as we started talking about axes, let's have a look at the axe right now. Now, I had seen Silent Night Deadly Night Part 1 last night. It is an annual tradition. It has to always be on there. And it's always debated whether in the house we watched Silent Night Deadly Night 1 or we watched Silent Night Deadly Night 2, which is technically just the first movie, all basically recapped in the second follow-up. But I always like watching both because I feel like it loses a little bit of something in the not watching the first one. Because in the second one, even though it's just narrative, having it narrated, I think it loses a little something, it's a little bit of that charm that the first movie had. So I like to watch, like I said, both of them. But in the movie, of course, Silent Night Deadly Night 1, Billy Chapman wields himself an axe. Now, I can bring in the axe that came included with the retro cloth Billy Chapman so you can see the difference between the two. The handles are quite considerably longer. Well, at least the Part 2 version axe is a lot longer. And again, going back and watching the first movie again, I quickly realized when he pulls the axe down from Ira's toy shop wall, the handle is closer to being red. It's not closer to being the brown that we did get with the original retro cloth release of Billy. So I think it comes when it comes time to probably displaying the figures. I'm likely going to be displaying, I feel, Ricky with the revolver. And I think then I'll leave the axe without a person to own it. So I think I'm probably going to end up displaying, I feel, Billy Chapman with this axe instead of the one that came included with him. I do think like the head on this axe a little bit more closer to the way he has in the movie. It doesn't have quite this shape, but it definitely has a red handle. It does not have the brown handle that we got with the original retro cloth Billy Chapman. So again, I'll probably display Billy, I think, with this axe instead. You can see some nice decent detail on the top there, edging the end of the head of the axe, all done in silver. So again, I'm probably going to be displaying this, I think, with more so Billy and not necessarily with Ricky. The one thing I will be displaying with Ricky, though, is, of course, the revolver that he goes then on a murderous rampage near the end of the movie, of course, walking down the street, not wearing the Santa Claus costume, of course, but he's shooting anything and everything that's in front of him, as well as an unsuspecting person that's putting out his garbage to the side curb. then puts the can down to realize that Ricky is pointing the gun right at him. And of course, uttering the famous words that everybody remembers, garbage day. So definitely going to be displaying, I think, Ricky with the pistol instead. You can see it's been painted with a real shiny coat of black. And then down below, we've got almost kind of a caramel brown being used for the handle. It's a nice looking pistol. It does fit in his hands technically, as the figure currently has open gripping hands, but neither really one of these are suited for the pistol. These are good for holding the axe. So if you do want to hold the revolver in his hand, it's better suited, I think, to go with this hand replacement instead. Go ahead, just roll up his sleeve. Talk a little bit more about the fact that he doesn't have the bigger build that I feel like Eric Freeman had in the movie. A true marvel of the film industry, Eric Freeman. I'm going to go ahead and put that hand back in place. Now he's got a gripping hand, or now he's got a trigger firing hand. Quite easily, quite comfortably fits the revolver into his hand. And you can see the way that they've sculpted the finger, it fits quite perfectly onto the trigger finger, or onto the trigger of the revolver. So again, that's probably going to be the way I'm going to display the figure. The last accessory he comes included with is, of course, his hat. It's not quite the same hat that came included with Billy. We'll have a look at that in a second. And this actually fits on him differently as well. You sort of fit it kind of like this. Well, I guess it's sort of the same way that it fit on Billy. Let's bring Billy in so you guys can see the difference between the two. It's obviously not quite the same hat, but it sort of drops and drapes down the side almost the same way. Billy's is just a little bit longer. Again, these are the two figures when you've got them all decked up looking like Santa Claus. Ricky really doesn't care so much looking fully the part. He's missing a beard completely, where, of course, when we had a look at Billy, Billy came included with the beard and the hair exactly the way he looks in the film. Let's go ahead and take off the hat from Ricky Caldwell's head. The only downside to the fact that these are plastic, you can probably see where I'm about to go with this, is the constant use of putting it down on Ricky's head. I feel it may be scraping the sides and especially the front area. I mean, knock on wood, I've not yet had that issue where any paint has flaked off, maybe just a little bit along the back there, but it's remained generally pretty good. Again, when it comes to displaying the figure, I'm probably going to display it with the hat simply just because he's wearing the Santa Claus outfit. I do feel this is a rightful follow-up figure that NECA Toys should really venture to looking to do. Because after all, if we're going to be getting ourselves the revolver, I really think NECA Toys, I sincerely hope NECA Toys could re-release this figure. Call it Garbage Day Ricky Caldwell. And instead of having him with the Santa Claus outfit, have him wearing that blue sweater that he wears when he's walking down the street, shooting up everybody. Because again, this is fine and good to be displaying Ricky Caldwell looking like Saint Nick, when of course he's off to do the long overdue punishment of Mother Superior. But I think, again, if we want to display Ricky Caldwell like we all remember him, rightfully give him the blue sweater, rightfully give him the pants, and give him back that pistol so he can be walking down the street. I feel like it's a no-brainer because they already have the head. They already have the hands. They literally just have to come up with you almost could even use a similar sweater that came included with Pamela Voorhees. Just put that right over top of his torso. Bingo, bango. Garbage Day Ricky Caldwell. I'm throwing it out there right now. Please make it happen, NECA Toys. Anyways, let's go ahead and remove the hat for the time being. We'll just put that down to the side. And again, we're looking at his face. His face is pretty good. Earlier retro cloth figures, prone to having some issues when it came to paint work. Again, we can bring in his brother Billy so you guys can see the difference between the two. It's marginal, but I would say there's definitely a step up when it comes to the paint job that they did for Ricky's face versus what we got from Billy. Billy still is very much heavily caked on, and it loses a lot of that sculpt, unfortunately. I don't feel like we lose as much when it comes to Ricky's portrait. You get as much that crazy, zany expression that Eric Freeman has in the movie, short of his eyebrows just not moving up and down while he's talking. You really got to see that for yourself if you haven't checked out the movie. So again, like, it definitely does capture that likeness of Eric, and certainly captures the craziness of Ricky Caldwell in the movie. Now again, you could just re-release. I'd be happy if they just re-release this guy countless times over. Re-release him with that tight white t-shirt he has in the alleyway where he kills the guy with the umbrella. Include the umbrella with the guts all over it. I mean, You could really go to town with multiple Eric Freeman releases. I'm championing this right now. Multiple Eric Freeman releases. Anyways, getting sidetracked here. You can see that he's got the open mouth. It does have that look of Garbage Day, like he's uttering it out of his mouth. Slight discoloration underneath the eyes. But again, like the paint is pretty good. They've even got like a bit of a stubble starting to grow in. Unfortunately, the head is on top of a regular retrocloth body, so there's a little bit of a departure when it comes to the colors. The colors jump from being all painted to just the coloring of the plastic. Again, he probably could have used a bigger, bulkier body because Eric is quite a muscular guy in the movie. But again, they sort of just defaulted to the regular retrocloth body. At least they do have the padded, bigger, bulkier suit. So it does kind of give him a little bit of extra size, even though technically it's really all just the costume doing it. He's got the fur running down the front. Now this is, again, slightly different from Billy's. I almost feel like I'm going to constantly be bringing Billy back in here. The jacket is definitely different. The fur is about the same on the sleeve, but the one thing about Billy's, if you remember, I knew his hat was going to fall off. If you remember with Billy's, we move his head just out of the way. He didn't actually have the fur running down the front. He only had the fur at the bottom of the jacket, which is a little bit longer than Ricky's. He had the fur, of course, on his pockets there, and he also had the fur on his sleeves. Ricky, on the other hand, actually has fur running all the way from the bottom all the way up to the top and runs around, stretches across his collar, as you can see right there. So there is a difference between the costumes. They're not identical, they're not the same, even though technically, when you look at the boots, let me just bring up Billy's boots. They are identical. They don't seem like they're any bit different than the ones that we are getting with Ricky. Even the soles underneath look like they are identical to one another. Let's check out the posability now on Ricky. His head rotates all the way around. I mean, that's a good bang-on likeness. Garbage Day Ricky Caldwell. NECA Toys, make it happen. He does have the arms that hinge out. You get a full 90-degree angle bend. It's a little jarring because, of course, his shoulders, I had a tough time saying that, his shoulders stick a little bit further up, so it's a little bit disjoining when you see where his shoulders actually do stop, and then you've got of course, the suit shoulders on top of that, but you still get a 90-degree angle bend quite comfortably, quite easily. You can move his arms forward, you can move his arms back. He has a swivel in the bicep. You can single hinge the elbow, and you can also rotate the hands all the way around. For his upper torso, no upper torso crunch because, again, they're using the older retrocloth bodies. He does have a waist swivel, however. You can split the legs on both sides. For some reason, it's always tighter on this one side of leg for me. You move the legs forward, you can move the legs back. He has a swivel right at the very top cut of the thigh. A single hinge knee. And because he has the higher legs on his outfit, you can get a better idea of how his boots actually are. There's no articulation to speak of. I mean, basically what they ended up doing was the lower half of his body is all black plastic. The top half is regular flesh tone. Let me just roll up the sleeve so you can see. But then the bottom half, they've actually used black plastic. And I guess that's one good way, because especially with Ricky's legs being a little more riding up, at least if they did ride up a little bit, you just get a little bit more of the black continuation of the boots. The boots do hinge back and forth, and again, they're very limited on articulation. That's really all you can do. Now, I do find on Ricky's specifically, I don't have quite the completely leveled footing. It seems like his feet are slightly more on an angle. He still stands, but he does have a little bit of balancing issue. Again, we can bring in his brother, Billy. And let's get their proper hats on here. This was the one that came included with Ricky, and this was the one that came included with Billy. Overlook the fact that one is Billy Chapman and one is Ricky Caldwell, but despite that, thrilled for the fact that we even got Silent Night, Deadly Night retro cloth figures. Let that sink in. We got retro cloth figures of Billy Chapman and Ricky Caldwell, considered by many to be one of those overlooked holiday classics. Everybody goes to Black Christmas, but you really should be checking out Silent Night, Deadly Night 1 and 2. Don't really watch 3, 4, and 5. They get progressively worse and worse, although Silent Night, Deadly Night 4 Initiation is certainly one movie you have to sit and watch through, and then you'll be asking yourself, what exactly did I watch? You're welcome. Anyways, though, I'd love to see these guys get re-released. At the very least, I know technically we already did get ourselves a Billy Chapman. I would love to see NECA Toys again re-release Ricky Caldwell, because a lot of us, people that didn't get a chance to get that pre-order in for the Scream Factory exclusive version of Ricky, of course, are now clamoring to try to get this guy. And I think it would be a perfect opportunity, a prime time for NECA Toys to re-release this guy next holiday season, strip off the Santa Claus outfit, put on a somewhat Pamela Voorhees blue sweater, and bingo bango, you've got yourself Garbage Day Ricky Caldwell. And that would be classic, and I'd pick it up in a heartbeat. True, with Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2, you're not really getting much of a brand new movie. In fact, most of the movie, 2/3 of it, is just rehashing old footage from the first movie, with Ricky Caldwell doing the narrative. It does beg the question, though, how he's retelling the story of what happened to Billy when he left the orphanage. But he didn't talk to Billy at all until Billy came back to the orphanage at the end of the first movie. How he would know that Billy did any of those things is beyond me, but it's one of those things we just have to suspend disbelief. At the very least, we did get ourselves one of the greatest actors of all time with flailing eyebrows. We have ourselves Eric Freeman playing, I'm sure, he's done other movies. I think he was also in Married with Children. He always ends up being the muscular guy in the background. But everybody really remembers him as Ricky Caldwell from Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2. Very faithfully recreated here from the folks over at NECA Toys. And again, truthfully, when it comes to displaying the figure, what you're seeing here in Final Looks isn't going to be the case of when I display the figure. This acts as it is closer to the one that Billy wears and wields, I suppose, in the first movie. This is going to go to Billy to carry around. And instead, I'm going to give Ricky Caldwell the revolver, even though technically it's not when he's wearing and wielding the revolver. I don't know why I keep saying wearing. But when he's wielding the revolver, he's not dressed like Santa Claus. Instead, he's wearing a blue sweater. Garbage Day, he says, and of course kills multiple people. I really want to see that figure get released. NECA Toys, you really got to make it happen. Give this guy either a convention exclusive, or again, just re-release this guy next holiday season and call it Garbage Day Ricky Caldwell. Give him the blue sweater. You probably could easily, again, use the blue sweater that came included with Pamela Voorhees and just give him the pistol. You already have the tooling of the head in stock, and you already have most of the pieces already available at your disposal. Give us Garbage Day Ricky Caldwell. Who's with me? Who's with me? Show of hands. I'm the only one with the hand actually up. Let me know down below in the comment section what you guys think of the retro cloth Ricky Caldwell. And if you get a chance every single year, do you watch Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 1? Do you watch Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2? Because basically it's just Part 1 anyways. Or do you watch both, like I do? And then we just avoid and we don't speak of the other one. Silent Night, Deadly Night 3 doesn't exist. Ricky Caldwell does come back, but it's not the same. It's not Eric Freeman. If it's not Eric Freeman, I'm not interested. You just don't even bother with 3, 4, and 5. 4 is ridiculous. And 5 has to do with toys, that things move around and kill people. That sort of redeems the franchise. But 3 and 4 are just dismal. Just dismal. 4 is just an abomination. 4 is just, it's one of those movies. It's one of those movies you have to see. But anyways, let me know down below your comments and what you guys think of the retro cloth Ricky Caldwell. Always like reading your comments. And if you are new to the channel and liking the content you're seeing, consider the idea of hitting that subscribe button down below. Turning, of course, that frequently sanitized bell notification. That won't mean anything a few years from now. Everybody's going to be like, what was he talking about? Sanitizing a bell notification. But make sure you hit that bell notification. And just FYI, that Monday to Friday, 12 p.m. and 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is when you can find new videos popping up. And of course, we're going to have a look at regular released figures, frequent outings and offerings from the folks over at NECA Toys. But then we're going to sprinkle in a dusting of magical related reviews in there as well. So keep your peepers peeled to this channel. And as always, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.